There is one story that links from my time in the Philippines to then my service as ambassador to Cambodia a decade later. And that story was that in 1988, there was a government-wide cutback, and particularly at the State Department, in how many other U.S. government entities could have representatives in the country at the embassy. So there are entities who come from U.S. Department of Agriculture, they come from the Center for Disease Control, they come from the Department of the Navy, the Department of the Army, come from the Air Force, they come from the USAID, and they may come from the Department of the Treasury and the Secret Service, all of whom want to have offices, drug enforcement agencies, another one. They all want to have representatives of their agency on the ground in key countries having an office in the embassy. So there's a big fight going on inside the U.S. government about how much money has to be paid. And the State Department says, we're cutting back because you all are not paying your way. We're going to cut back on how many organizations can have offices there. And our job as ambassador and deputy ambassador was to enforce this and to tell agencies they just can't stay. So I was the bad cop in this, and I had the 2 or 3 officers from the Department of the Treasury in to see me, and I said, I'm so sorry, but you guys are going to have to pack up and ship out. And they said, our work here is so important. There's threats on American currency going on. I hope you can find a way somehow to keep us here. And so I was very taken with the argument and about the threats to American money. And so I did that. And so while these Treasury agents, U.S. Treasury Department employees, are still there at the embassy, thanks to my decision, which I had to kind of keep from the State Department administrative overseers in Washington, the Treasury officers come to see me and they say, we've had this really significant development. And we deal with an employee at the Philippine Central Bank, a woman who has been there for 35 or 40 years handling American currency. And she brought $100 bills to us and said, I think these are counterfeit. And so we took the bills, we looked at them, we gave them our field test. We said, no, these are legit, these are good. And she said, no, there's something wrong. So they worked with this woman a lot. She was very important to them. They wanted to be nice to her, and they said, look, we're going to send this back to Washington and have it tested there just because we value our relationship with you. So they send these American $100 bills back to Washington to the Treasury Department. They get them back. Treasury Department says, we've tested these. We've given it more than the test you do in the field. We've subjected them to other more sophisticated tests here. These are legitimate U.S. currency. These are not fake. They're not counterfeit. So they call the woman back over, or they go to see her. They give her the $100 bills, and they say, here's what happened. We tested them in Washington. And they say, for sure, these are good. These are legitimate. They're not counterfeit. So she takes them back. She gets a few more. She comes back to the Treasury agent and said, I've got more. I'm telling you, these are counterfeit. So now the Treasury guys are getting to be kind of a little annoyed about all of this, because this woman is just, despite whatever they do, she keeps coming back telling them this. So they send the bills off to Washington again to be tested, and then they get them back with a note that said, we've now done some additional tests we've really never done before. And she is right. These are counterfeit $100 bills. And they are so incredible. They are so perfect counterfeits that even we couldn't detect them except with these extra tests. We've never seen anything like this before. And these came to be called super notes. And they became this incredible threat to the acceptance of American currency throughout Asia and worldwide. And this would all come together 10 years later in 1996, when I was American ambassador in Phnom Penh and had just arrived. And the super notes were back on the scene.